Hello everyone, Redless here. I'm going to be talking to you tonight about my new social deduction game, 80 Below. Fans of my previous social deduction game might remember two features that are going to be carried over into this new game. Those features are the fact that I'm not going to tell you all the rules at the game's start. You're going to have to figure them out by talking with the other players and doing investigations within the game itself. And that it's not going to be a very clear-cut scum versus town dynamic. There's going to be more nebulous alliances, more shifting alliances, and of course you aren't going to know what they are at the start. So with that out of the way, let's talk a bit about the format that the game's going to take. So the actual way that it proceeds is going to be pretty similar to your standard Mafia variant. First there's going to be chatting, then voting, then abilities, then movement, and that cycle will repeat over and over again. Chatting, voting, abilities, movement. Chatting, voting, abilities, movement. Now, what are each of these? Chatting is very straightforward. Everyone talks with each other who's alive, and they pick someone and vote. The voting is where they vote. And they pick another alive person to unalive and remove them from the pool of alive people. That's chatting, that's voting. Then there's abilities. Different characters will have different abilities, and you'll use the abilities. And then movement, and I'll explain that a bit later. But first, let me tell you about how you win this game. So when you play this game, you're going to be dealt a certain number of goals, right? Okay, so every goal has one thing in common, which is in order for that goal to be achieved, fulfilled, whatever it is, you need to kill everyone who doesn't have that goal. So any goal will only be achievable when everyone without the goal is dead. In other words, only the people with the goal are alive. That is how you achieve goals. Certain goals may have other criteria that you need to achieve that goal. And any goal you achieve will cause you to win the game. And of course you lose by dying before you can achieve any of your goals. So that is how the game is won or lost. So when you hear about this, it might strike you as kind of similar to a more standard Mafia variant. What makes this stand out compared to those variants? So let me tell you about the two twists that define how 80 Below is going to proceed, which are locations and multiple characters per person. So you're going to have multiple characters, and each character is going to be in a location. Now, most abilities are going to be bound to only be able to target people in your location. Chatting, similarly, will be bound so that each location will essentially be a private chat with only people at that location. And you'll chat with them and not chat with people not at your location. But remember, you as a player, even though your characters are each going to be in one location, have multiple characters. So your characters could be in multiple locations, e.g. multiple private chats. And thus, you're able to talk with a wide variety of people. So that is kind of how locations play in on chatting and abilities. Movement, I think, is now straightforward. It's where you move between locations. And voting, well, you can vote for anyone at any location. Actually, you can vote for any string. I think up to 1,000 characters or something. And you can vote with your characters, and everyone will know the votes of the people in their location. So voting is public in that sense when it happens at the end of the day, but it is not public in the sense that people in other locations ain't going to know who you voted for, and vice versa. So let's talk about chatting. So no one is going to know the real person chatting the chat. So you could, you're going to control multiple characters probably. So you can imagine you have a character named Steve and a character named Christopher. No one is going to know that you're the one controlling both of them. If you want, you can pretend like they're multiple people, right? That you're two people. Each one is being controlled by a different person. You can play both sides of an argument. You can build consensus with your characters if they're in the same location, or you can make different alliances in different locations. So I think this, combined with the multiple characters thing, is going to allow people to get really creative with the deception that they do. Now, let's talk about voting some more. So, voting. It's plurality voting, not majority voting. So, whoever gets the most votes is the one who dies. You don't have to have a majority of votes to die. And uh, you don't see who wins the vote. So who actually got lynched is another mystery that you're going to have to solve. If a person in your room had a lot of votes, did they get lynched or did they just switch to another room? It makes you think. And the other thing, I mentioned this already, is you can only vote up to every other day. So if you vote and you successfully chose a string that is an actual person playing the game, or character rather, it is going to put you on cooldown to where you cannot vote the next day. So if you have like a coalition of people that you're voting with, you're going to want them to time themselves. You're going to have to coordinate this timing so that everyone is voting on the same day. Otherwise, you may get outvoted. But if a lot of people vote on a certain day, then the votes the next day for the people who still have them will be more powerful. I think this will lead to an interesting dynamic. Abilities. They generally target people in your location, generally don't reveal info publicly, so no one's going to hear like, Steve shot Christopher with a gun or something. And they generally all happen after lynch. What do I mean by that? Well, it means that if you want to stop someone from using their ability, if you can get them lynched, then you'll stop them from using their ability because abilities happen after lynch and dead people don't use their abilities. Conversely, all abilities happen simultaneously. So you can imagine that you're doing some inspection. You have like an inspecting ability that gives you some information about maybe another character. Even if someone targets you to kill, maybe that character that you're inspecting, in fact, it is not necessarily, excitingly, going to block your inspection. So that still will go through. Because they happen at the same time, you get the inspection result and your character dies. Now let me talk to you about the app itself. So here it is. I professionally created this with my professional developer skill over the course of several months. And when you play the game, you're going to get a password, which you type in at this screen. It's going to be more than one character, but for debugging purposes, I've limited passwords to a single character. So then you click Let's Jam, and you're taken into the app itself. This is sort of the dashboard of the app. You can see it tells you what day it is up here, July 3rd. That's a day in which the game will take place. And then you can see over here are the different rooms. Now you only control one character, Rebecca Ramirez in the Warhead Hangar. If you controlled multiple characters, there'd be multiple blocks down here that you could click on. As it stands, you just have Rebecca. So you saw that this was highlighted in red. That is a notification thing. So you can see which chats have new messages that you haven't read yet. So you can stay up to date on your chats and know when you are. So I clicked on it and now it's not read because I've selected that chat. Okay, so over here is the chats itself. We got some flavor text. And you can read that and it'll give you some information maybe. And then you're going to see certain chat notifications. That means someone said something. So I made all these previously when I was testing this or recording this video. Intakes that didn't make it to the final take. So you can type in whatever you want and it'll get posted. And you can see over here the people in the room. We got Rebecca, we got Carlos. And they're the ones who can see these chats as they're happening. So, yeah, it's kind of Discord-esque, this UI, but hopefully it makes sense how it works. You also have a record. You can see over here you can switch between chats, abilities, tips, and record. Under record, we've got some certain chats from the past. July 3rd, of course, is the current day. But you can also see there were some chats on July 2nd that happened. It looks like Rebecca was still in the Warhead Hangar. That's how we have access to these chats. And yeah, so if you want to review past days' chats, you can do so. One guarantee that I'm making to you with this game is that information that I give you will not be later revoked. So you don't have to write things down. You can always access all the info you've ever had. Now, in addition to those things, we got some abilities. So Rebecca's the only character we control again, so you can see her abilities here. July 2nd, she didn't use an ability, so we don't have any messaging here, but if Rebecca had, for example, inspected Carlos, it would say the inspection result here, so you'd be able to know. So here you have the targeting, vote, movement, and abilities. You can target all three of those things. Voting, as I said, you can vote for any string, but you can also click on a person that you know exists, right? A person that you've seen, a person that you've been in the same room with. And if you set them, you'll get a locked on feature. And this lets you confirm that you've typed it right and everything. And basically makes it so that you know that your thing is going to go through. So you just click that. Oh, shit. I'll fix that bug. I think that's a lowercase thing. But you just click their name here, and you can go and target them. And then you can also target someone. Let's say there's a guy named Sus Guy in another room that you hear about. You've never seen this guy, but everyone's telling you that they're the one we should all lynch. You could just vote for Sus Guy and you won't get a locked on note, but you will vote for them if they are indeed a real person. Movement is similar. We're having locations on a 1 through 80 coordinate system. So here you could go to like 3077. Okay, sure, whatever. But you can also click any location that you've officially seen, such as Warhead Hangar, and you'll be able to see that once you've picked that, it'll be locked on just the same as people are. So if you hear about some nice location that you don't know about, you can go there. But if you go to the wrong location, if you go to a location with no people, right? Like say you went to 1242, which is not a real location, like there's no room there, you would die. Yeah, because of the theming of the game, right? It's set in Antarctica, so if you just are outside a building, then you're dead because it's cold. Okay, so now let me talk to you about abilities. They work the same way as our friend voting. You can target anyone. In this case, Rebecca, as with most people, can only target people in her location. So you probably wouldn't want to type in an arbitrary string there, but you click Carlos and target him. Cool. Now let me take you to the tips screen. So for any character that you control, you can see their tips. You can see height, weight, location, current location if you know what it is, and information. And this is basically just their appearance, just some flavor text, and their abilities. Because you control Rebecca, you also know her abilities in addition to her information. You can read that here, I guess. I don't know. I guess you need to do that. You can see the abilities are also on the abilities screen. And then we've got Carlos here. We don't control him, and we haven't inspected him, so we only have his information. We don't know his abilities. We don't know why he is obsessed with National Geographic magazine, and we don't know really anything else about him. Hopefully we can inspect him to get that info, but maybe not. Or maybe. We also have some information on locations that you're in, or that you've been in. So you have here just a handy-dandy little index, name of the location, the coordinates of the location, so you can share this with people if you want them to go to that location. And you've got information, which is maybe useful to you. And you've also got some other different flavors and flavor text, or maybe some clues or info, such as down here. You can see this, but I'm not going to click on that. But you could click on that if you played the game. Yeah. So that's basically how the app is set up. Oh, shit. And there you go. So let's talk about logistics. So just like the previous game, this is going to take 8 to 10 people. And it's going to be live sessions, but they're going to be at different times. So you've got some 1-hour pre-scheduled sessions. Each one will have chatting, voting, abilities, movement. And so there will be 10 or 15 of these sessions between these two, I approximately estimate, meaning that it's going to take 10 to 15 hours of active playing to play, and we're going to break that up between multiple days. So hopefully that'll be 2 or 3 weeks of gameplay. There's a few different ways I'm thinking of structuring it. There's going to be a poll released that you can go to that'll explain everything, but yeah. So basically I'm thinking like we do an hour on Monday, an hour Wednesday, hour Friday. We do that for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And then we have like a wrap-up session on maybe a Saturday where we play the last like 3 to 5 turns, I think, or days, twilights, whatever you want to call them. And I think those will not take that long. So it's fine if we do them in one block. Because I don't know if you're going to even need an hour for those or if it's just going to be sort of end game. Yeah, so I say 2 weeks is also a possibility because maybe we cram like 3 sessions into a weekend at the very beginning, right? So we do the first 3 days and then we do, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, or, whatever, Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, I don't know. Whatever you want. There's going to be a poll about that, and that's how the game will be played. And I'm thinking about the first session. It'll probably be on April 21st or that weekend of 2023. So, yeah, fill out that poll on scheduling, and hopefully you can play. So, let me tell you about some tips. I would not reveal your real name to other players. Or which characters you control. I think these are bad mistakes. Obviously, you can reveal them, but do so carefully, maybe later game. I wouldn't start by instantly revealing your information. I think it's a bad strategy. I think you're going to want to keep some stuff secret. Again, don't worry about me erasing things that you have been given in the app. That'll all be there forever. On the other hand, only communicate through the app, right? Don't talk to people IRL or send a link to a Discord or anything like that. Just chat with people on the app. Don't do it any other way. And finally, follows kind of naturally, but no cryptography or encryption of any kind, even if it's not an explicit algorithm. If it looks like cryptography, bad idea. Yeah. So, should you play and what to do if so? I'm going to run multiple rounds of this. It's cheap for me to run because I built this app that does all the work. And submit to me your times. Again, there's going to be a poll. And if you're selected, take it seriously and try to win. And I would appreciate it if you either recorded as you play, or if you video recorded, or did some sort of journal or live blogging or something like that. Because I think it'd be really interesting to hear people's thought processes. And I'm probably going to be doing some sort of commentary or narration of the game, at least after it finishes, if not during. So there you have it. That's 80 Below. Hope you enjoyed learning about it, and hope you want to play it. I think it's going to be really exciting and hype. So see you there.